Hey everyone, and welcome to the stream. This is ShellshockPrime, and this right here is Sharing with Shellshock, episode 28, Memories of Halloween 2. This is the 20th episode, and I am once again bringing in two guests that have been on the show multiple times before. And as you can see right here, we all are doing a little bit of a Halloween theme this time. But first, let's introduce our guests. First, we got Mr. Ben.
Howdy, howdy, y'all.
Good to see you again. And we also got HitoRetroGaming.
That's evil, Hito, to you.
It's good to have you on as well. As you can see right here, in the spirit of Halloween, we are having like everything completely dark with minimal lights. Just because the fact that things are ominous. Halloween is almost here. Yep. By the time that you're watching this video, like, it might be Halloween already, or it might not be Halloween anymore by the time you're watching this, if you're watching the VOD. But for those who are watching live, it's October 28th, 2023. And we got a lot to talk about. But first, before we do
I guess you could say we're getting into the spirit of the holiday season.
Yep.
Such a spirit it is.
Yep. Just like how whenever like any store that goes out of business, and Spirit Halloween just takes over the place for a month. So, yeah. Anywho, so Ben, since you've been here before, remind us, what type of content do you do?
So I'm a variety streamer on Twitch. I stream mainly Nintendo stuff, but I have been branching out into Steam and PS4 as of late. I'm currently doing a playthrough of Knights of the Old Republic 2,
nice.
Sith Lords. But I'm also kind of interspersing that with some other stuff. I am currently not just doing KOTOR 2, but I have also been doing some on the spot stuff every other week, like Star Fox Event Horizon, Super Mario Wonder, Sonic Superstars, among other things. I am planning on doing a playthrough of Super Mario RPG Remake when it comes out next month.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, that game is gonna be amazing. Hito, remind everybody, since you've been on before, remind everybody just what content do you do?
Well, when Hito's doing his own content, he specifically sticks to a whole bunch of Nintendo games, but also goes in the Steam library. He's a retro variety streamer. When I take over, I'm a horror variety streamer. This whole month, we've beaten games like Parasite Eve, Corpse Party, Medieval, and just recently, Dead Rising. And we plan to hopefully finish Call of Cthulhu, Lollipop Chainsaw, and a few other games during our last week of this Hallowed Night.
Yeah, we got a lot going on in this Halloween season. I've already recently beaten Silent Hill not too long ago, as well as playing Deadly Premonition Origins. Not to mention, also been partaking in some of the Digital Bonfire Boo Fest streams for Phasmophobia, and I've also did a session of Mario Party Superstars where he played Horrorland, and that was a very interesting game when we actually did that. But yeah, and also since Halloween season's coming up, naturally people just go out of their way to just binge watch movies or TV shows that are Halloween based just to get them out of the way before November hits, because obviously now is the time to do that. But yeah, like that's also the season. People just going out partying, people just going out like trick-or-treating or doing whatever it is they like to do, or they just want to stay home for Halloween, just chill. Whatever you guys.
Also the usual war crime.
Oh, you're talking about like throwing toilet paper and like all that stuff?
Rotten eggs specifically.
Rotten eggs, yep. I've seen that too. Also, we let's get started on this whole podcast tonight. So, Ben, we're gonna start with you. What are some of your earliest Halloween memories?
Oh, so earliest Halloween memories. I remember dressing up as Mighty Mouse when I was like 3 years old. That's like the earliest memory I've got.
Yep.
Mainly going around the apartment complex I used to live in, and just people just be like, oh, look at him, he's so cute. What the heck is he supposed to be dressed as? Because people didn't fully recognize who Mighty Mouse was at the time. I remember dressing up as one of the Ninja Turtles the next year, and just hang out with some friends, just doing little costume parties over at the down in the little block that we had.
Yep. Yeah. So those were your earliest memories?
Yeah.
All right. What about you, Hito?
Well, technically speaking, the first memories that I would have, I think I was born on year 1 of Hito's first Halloween. His mother dressed him up like a clown. I hate clowns. So I think I kind of formed out of that because I hated clowns. The initial hatred was bored right into my head. But, yeah, first one was a clown. Then there was a ninja, and I believe Simba at some point, because for some reason, Lion King was the crave at that time.
Yeah. Yep. Lion King was an all-time classic movie. And to be honest, like, there's just so many costumes I've seen people go with. Because I will say, one of my earliest costumes I remember wearing, the farthest back I can remember, like, obviously I was Ninja Turtle like at least 2 times. I was almost Plucky Duck from Tiny Toon Adventures, and I went to school with the costume because usually in school, like, I believe I was in the 1st grade around this time. And what I remember was the fact that towards the end of the day, guess what happened? I went to the bathroom and I just took out my costume because I needed to use the bathroom, and all of a sudden the costume's gone. I didn't know what happened to it. The costume was gone. And
wow.
I couldn't find it anywhere. And I put it right next to me in the bathroom. I guess somebody might have taken it and then I didn't realize it. And but since it was towards the end of the day, like, not much was really done. So my parents were a bit upset with me about that. Did I say bit? No, they were really upset with me. But they did not, however, want me to go without a costume for trick-or-treating, so they just got me another Ninja Turtle costume. So that was the second time that I wore Ninja Turtle, but I don't remember which turtle I was back then. But I really did wanted to wear Plucky Duck since he was one of my favorite characters in Tiny Toon Adventures. Some other memories that I can remember, what I remember was that there was like a couple of years where, like, whenever I would go to Halloween parties in school, and I remember a lot of costumes around, like, different eras. Like, people were dressing up as Power Rangers, people were dressing up as, like, Spider-Man or Wolverine. I've seen some Barbie costumes. I've seen like the original My Little Pony, like not the Friendship is Magic, but like the original, like Gen 1 and Gen 2. Oh, I don't know about Gen 1, but Gen 2 was like in the 90s. That much I remember. Anything that was Disney at the time, people were dressing up as that. Because every year there would be something different for Disney. I've seen so many interesting costumes. There was one year in 1994, my brother had a Mario mask and I had a Sonic costume, and we got a lot of attention as well. Like, we got
the console wars were a thing.
Exactly. Like, this was because this was in 1994 when, like, the peak year for both Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis, and the PlayStation wasn't out yet, but it was coming out. But it was peak console war era from like 16-bit, and everyone was just amazed at seeing my younger brother as Mario and me as Sonic. And it was an interesting time because back then, you weren't really supposed to see Mario and Sonic together. They were supposed to be rivals because they were in 2 completely different worlds. But it was Halloween. We were just kids dressing up as whatever we wanted to dress up as. Granted, I didn't get to do much trick or treating that year because I ended up having to go to I had to go to a counselor session that I used to have every Monday, but I went in costume. But we did get some candy afterwards, like after the fact. We did get a little bit of trick or treating, but not too much because my mom did not want us to stay out late, even though she was with us the whole time. But still, and the only other early memory I could probably just come up with was probably right around the time when we moved to the area that I'm at right now, because I remember Power Rangers was still relevant, but it wasn't as huge as it was early, like a few years prior. And this was shortly before. This was like 1 year before Pokemon released in the United States. It was already out in Japan at the time, but what I remember was that like just trick-or-treating around the area that I was at right now is so much better than the area that I used to live at, mainly because my area that I live at right now is a lot more peaceful, a lot more like a lot nicer, or at least at the time it was. So it was a lot safer to go trick-or-treating. Though, what's up?
Oh no, I wasn't saying anything. We're all good.
Okay, it's fine.
I'm sorry. When you mentioned Pokemon, you just unlocked a core memory for me where I was trick or treating with a friend of mine with his mom. The thing was, both he and myself dressed up as Ash Ketchum for that 1 year. His mom dressed up as Pikachu.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah.
I remember specifically. There was a year that before I wore my actual costume for the year, because I wasn't too thrilled about my costume that year. I was just going as a ghost. I had literally one of those sheets, which I fell asleep in right afterwards. But I literally paper mache'd Bulbasaur's bulb and actually managed to do the face makeup. The thing was, because I was a 7-year-old with no control of my own, I was using the green teal markers and the green actual markers to mark my face and like anything else I was showing. And I was like, I'm a Bulbasaur. And legitimately, my teachers freaked out. And I'm like, they're washable. See, it comes right off. And they're like, I know, but like, you can't just walk out of here green/teal faced. And I'm like, but I'm Bulbasaur. Like, what do you want me to do? And then there was another year that I was the Blue Power Ranger because I had a big fascination with the Blue Power Ranger.
Yeah.
It was a big thing for me. But then also we had, at the time, because we had like a whole bunch of kids that were doing Power Rangers, they wanted to make a group, which was essentially just like, okay, which Power Ranger is everyone being? And I called the blue one, and I literally fought for that one. Like, I'm blue. That's it. And then after that, one of the guys had to go as the Pink Ranger. Like, I don't want to be the fucking Pink Ranger. And literally, hearing your kids say fucking is hilarious. I don't want to be the fucking Pink Ranger.
Oh my god.
I'm like, you do know Amy wants to be the Pink Amy. You do know that Amy wants to be like the Pink Ranger here, right? Her name was not really Amy. I just decided to go for Amy because, you know, Amy Jo Johnson.
Yeah.
But, out of all seriousness, we had a girl in our group who was like, I don't mind doing the Pink Ranger. I mean, I could have done the yellow one, but, you know, it's fine. So, she wanted to be the Pink Ranger. They were like, okay, but who wants to be the Yellow Ranger? I don't want to be the fucking Yellow Ranger. Are you kidding me? The Yellow Ranger's a girl. And then I'm looking at it like, looking back at it, when you watch the Japanese version, the Yellow Ranger is a dude. So I'm like, that's not a big deal because the Yellow Ranger in the Japanese version is a dude.
Yeah,
I can't say that obviously because, you know, we didn't have the resources to watch Japanese Power Rangers back then.
Mm-hmm.
But still, yeah, it was a lot of fighting over. It was like, why does he get to be the Blue Ranger? I'm like, listen, nobody likes the Blue Ranger anyway. He's a nerd and he's weak. I'm like, excuse me? So it became a whole thing. And then there was 2 years I went as a pro wrestler. The first year was Undertaker because that was a fun time. Undertaker was great.
Yeah.
And then I went as Sting.
Oh, nice.
We all remember Sting?
Yeah, with
Sting was crazy.
Because his gimmick was basically inspired by the movie The Crow.
Exactly. And then we ended up turning that whole thing into The Crow the next year, because that was the year that I believe my mother was like, you know what? You want to know why your dad named you after Bruce Lee's son? It's because he loved The Crow and his martial arts style. And so I named after Bruce Lee's son. So that should tell you a lot right there. And I ended up doing The Crow that year as well.
Yep.
It was such a great time. I think that was also the first year that I did a spook house. I was when dressed as Undertaker. I was literally walking through the spook house, and there was one time where I literally scared because of the face makeup I put on to actually like. You know how Undertaker did like a time where he was literally covered in makeup and it made him look like really, really scary, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
I did that. I did that version of Undertaker, and I think I scared one of the people in the spook house with it because I turned around really fast. I had one of those like jump scare moments.
Yeah.
Where they grabbed me on the shoulder. I went ah.
Yep. That happens.
So, it was great.
Yeah.
So,
I'm like, I didn't know I was such an ugly child. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. You're gonna say something, man?
So, I'm sorry, you just reminded me of another memory. This wasn't an early memory. This was more when I was kind of like closer toward like, late teens. So I'd never been through like one of those haunted houses or anything for up until this point. But I was going with a friend and a cousin of mine. And we were going through, the spooky haunted mansion and everything, kind of like doing like the whole cheap kind of like, there's the paper mache ghosts coming from the ceiling. They got like the spiders and the fake cobwebs. Well, there was this one point we were coming around a corner, and they did the whole, guy in a costume jump scare kind of. Well, our friend, instead of activating the fight or flight response, instead of going for flight, decides to go for fight. And fucking waylaid the dude. Straight knocked his block off.
As he should.
Yep.
That was funny as hell. Just.
I do want to bring up like another like memory, like not exactly early, but this was around the time when I was like in high school. I just got to this high school. I transferred back in 2002 for that year, like back in that fall. And every year they had a tradition. They would do a scare fair where, because they had a sister school, which was the elementary school, and then like the main one that I'm in was the high school. So what we would do is we would set up some sort of a scare fair. Like all the high school students would team up to make some sort of a fair for like all the elementary school / junior high school students come in, and they would participate. There would be games, there'd be events, face painting, there would be a lot of cool stuff, because we used the gym. We used the gym since it was the biggest space to host the scare fair every year. And the way that it worked was we had like people from different classes work on different teams. There was one year, this was back when I was in my junior year of high school, I volunteered to be the guy to get hit in the face with cream pies. And it didn't really hurt that bad. It did not. But I remember doing that. Honestly, out of all three of the ones that we've hosted in the school, that was actually my favorite one because of just the general vibe. To me, felt the best of the three. And my face is fine, don't get me wrong, because like it's just getting hit by all those cream pies, like people just like hitting it right in your face. Though there was mainly little kids just doing that, so it didn't really bother me. But good times. Though, even though when I was in my senior year, even though a lot of people had a great time, we had to end it early because there wasn't that much of a turnout from like the elementary / middle school, and unfortunately they had to leave early for whatever reason. And then I overheard a conversation from like some faculty members stating that the scare fair that we were doing that year was going to be the last one, though, and it turns out it actually was, because I had some friends who were still at that school by the time that I already graduated. they told me that they didn't do it anymore. But it was a good time. It was a really good time that we did that. I don't regret like the whole pie thing, but it's still a lot of fun. Okay, so now let's go to the next portion of the topic. Have you watched any good Halloween movies or TV specials over the years? And if so, what are your favorites? We're going to start with you, Hito.
So, do you want to know where the darkness and very much depletion comes from here? Every single day was a horror movie or Halloween special. Mama Retro made sure I grew up on those, starting at the ripe age of 3. I knew who Jason was, I knew who Michael Myers was, I knew who Ghostface was, I knew who Freddy Krueger was, I knew who the Candyman was, and I knew what Jeepers Creepers was. Oh, and let's not forget Killer Clowns in Outer Space.
Oh, Killer Clowns, that was a good movie right there.
So, legitimately, I've seen a lot of Halloween stuff, but did I see anything for kids? Yes. I think I remember the first Halloween special I ever saw, because I was a big fan of the Rugrats, was the very first Rugrats Halloween episode where they found the Reptar bars.
Oh, yeah, the Reptar bar one, yes.
And Angelica was just kind of like messing with these damn kids, going, "You stupid babies will be too scared to go to this haunted house." And then after that, the babies go to the haunted house like oblivious to everything.
Yep.
And legitimately just made it much more frightful.
Mm-hmm.
It scared the crap out of not only Angelica, but like Grandpa Lou. They both lost their minds. And they just took all the Reptar bars. They were finally enjoying it. They were having a good time. And you just see Angelica at the end of the day like, "I want my Reptar bar." And trying to force Stu or Drew to go into that house. And they're just like, "Listen, we'll rock, paper, scissors for it." "Yeah, on 3. No, we'll go together." No, we'll rock, paper, scissors for it." Okay. So, that was the first Halloween special I've ever seen. And then, for a long while, I didn't have a cable.
Mm-hmm.
But then, when I finally did, I got cable back around the time I was a freshman in high school. And I finally learned what the Scary Godmother movie was about. And I'm like, oh, snap, Scary Godmothers.
Oh,
1
God.
and 2. Those are legitimate, like, traditional movies to watch. Those 2 movies, if you are a Cartoon Network kid, those 2 movies are very important, and you must watch them. No balls. You will have to watch those.
Yeah.
I think a big Halloween special that I enjoyed the most, I'm trying to remember the name of this. Why is my brain stuck right now?
Do you remember what it was about?
I had it. Oh, right. So, during the time of I believe middle school, that's when Corpse Bride came out.
Yeah.
And I actually fell in love with the movie. Because not only was it scary, there was a lot of drama to it. And I'm like, oh shit. Damn, this is like the hottest tea ever.
Wow.
Like, legitimate, like, because if you've seen Corpse Bride, like, if any of you have seen Corpse Bride, you will know the drama that happened behind that whole entire movie. It was insane. Like, we're talking insane. How she died, how it ended up, how everything went crazy, and yeah, like, I legitimately lost my damn mind just literally looking at Corpse Bride. I'm like, oh wow, so this is what tragic romance feels like.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to watch that movie again. Go ahead.
And they had a Yu-Gi-Oh special for Halloween, which was really funny. They would show episodes that kind of fit the theme of like anything in WB. So I remember Shaolin Showdown had the zombie episode with Jack Spicer and Panda Bubba. I know they also continued it with Pokemon with the Lavender Town episode, which they had to stop airing Tower of Terror because of obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Then they closed it off with Yu-Gi-Oh, which was, they showed 2 episodes specifically. they showed the Joey Wheeler versus Bones fight from Duelist Kingdom, and then they showed the fight with Bones versus Bakura.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, I was like, oh, okay, sure. Don't give us the Kaiba ghost by all means, the Mr. You don't stand the ghost of a chance nonsense, but okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are some pretty good specials. Yeah. Alright. Ben, what about you?
Aside from what Hito mentioned, I really can't much add to that mostly. I'm gonna be a fan. This may sound a bit blasphemous, but I'm not really much of a fan of horror. I don't really like horror stuff.
That's fine. That's perfectly fine, honestly.
Where's my spray?
The earliest that I remember off the top of my head was seeing. I never saw the full thing, but I do remember seeing the intro to Stephen King's It, and I do know that both of my parents, when they saw it when it first came out, they did not want to go near any drains for like at least a solid week.
Wow.
Because they were like, they just couldn't get Tim Curry's "We all float down here" out of their heads. The one movie that keeps coming to mind more often than not is Labyrinth with David Bowie as the Goblin King.
Yes.
I kind of want to see that again.
I've never seen it, but one year I'm probably gonna suggest that for like one of the movie nights we'll do. 1 year.
Oh, just to add on, Mr. Ben, there was one movie from Stephen King that you just like unlocked in my brain for a minute. And many people do not know about this movie, but I highly recommend watching it. Watch Rose Red, the 2-part movie. It is a very, very haunting movie. It's about a woman who's doing paranormal research, and what she does is she gathers a whole bunch of people with weird paranormal activity type abilities, like clairvoyancy or predictions or force, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And she brings them to this house, which this house in itself has a whole bunch of consumed spirits that have died in this place, and of course will cause a lot of incidents, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
So I highly recommend watch Rose Red. If you like Stephen King stuff, watch Rose Red.
To say the only real horror film that I remember watching as a kid, and I wouldn't really call it as a horror, this is really more of a comedy, was definitely Ghostbusters 1 and 2.
Oh,
Those
yeah.
are ones I fucking love Ghostbusters, I ain't gonna lie.
I've actually seen, that's the only one I've seen for Ghostbusters, but I've also seen some other really cool stuff too. In terms of movies and specials, I got a lot that I want to talk about. So some of the ones that the both of you have mentioned I have seen. But you know what else I've seen? So not exactly a Halloween related movie, but it was more like a bit of a thriller in a sense, but also a little sci-fi as well. John Carpenter's They Live. It's the movie where like you have professional wrestler Roddy Piper, who finds a box of sunglasses, and when he wears them, everything's in black and white, and some humans are actually not humans. They're actually aliens disguised as humans. And the only way to see through that is with those shades. And he would go out of his way to save the humans and kill the aliens disguised as humans. And that movie is nuts. That movie is absolutely amazing for what it is. I've seen a lot of really good specials in general. I've seen like the Ren and Stimpy Halloween special. I've seen the one from Doug on Nickelodeon, Rocko's Modern Life, Hey Arnold, like SpongeBob. I've seen so many of them like on Nickelodeon because growing up I was a huge Nickelodeon fan, so naturally whatever specials they would have, I would watch it. There was a Mark Summers special, like a Halloween special, where like it was him with a bunch of kids going to some sort of haunted house. This was like from like late '80s, early '90s. They used to air on reruns on Nickelodeon every year. I would see Halloween specials from like all those shows. Plus, I used to watch a lot of Are You Afraid of the Dark back in the day. That's a show I watched.
I remember that. Yep.
That's a show I used to watch every Saturday night when it was on Nickelodeon on SNCC. It was the last show of the block for a few years. I would watch that. Plus, on Fox Kids, I would watch Goosebumps. That's another one. I've also seen the first Goosebumps movie with Jack Black. I thought that was pretty good. Haven't seen the second one. I've heard mixed things about it, but I'll probably watch that at some point.
I never saw the movie, but I did see the live action show a couple times.
Yes, and there's a new special that's on Disney Plus. Haven't seen it yet, but I'll have to watch it.
To watch it.
Yeah, I've also watched. What else did I watch? I remember like watching some episodes of Tales from the Crypt. Like they had like a TV show version of it. I didn't see the movie, but I seen the TV show version of it.
Tales of the Crypt. That's some old stuff. I actually forgot about until you mentioned that.
Yeah, like I watched that. There was a cartoon version of it, which was not. It was nowhere near as good as the actual live action show. And I haven't seen the movies, so I can't really say anything on those. I remember also watching, pretty much, I mean, obviously Scooby-Doo. I would watch Scooby-Doo. It's not exactly Halloween, but it does have ghosts, monsters, and all that. But, yeah, like, in terms of movies, any movie that has, like, a Halloween theme, like, I watched Zombieland, I watched Shaun of the Dead. Like, I love Shaun of the Dead so much.
Stuff right there. Shaun of the Dead's really good.
Yes. And sometimes, like, whenever, like, especially, like, whenever I watch it with, like, either by myself, with, like, a group of people in general, we will watch different movies. Like, Killer Clowns from Outer Space was definitely one of those. I've also have seen, I remember, watching different Halloween specials, like obviously the Charlie Brown, Garfield, like the ones that they would show like CBS or ABC and stuff like that. I've seen those. I've seen Power Rangers Halloween specials and all that. Ironically enough, I'm like, and then tomorrow, like, I'm gonna be watching the Halloween movie night stuff that we're gonna be doing. We're gonna be watching there's this Winnie the Pooh horror movie that came out.
Oh, I've heard about that.
I think it came out either this year or last year. And there's that. Every year I used to have a tradition to watch the movie Hocus Pocus. For me, I love Hocus Pocus, and I've enjoyed that movie.
I've been meaning to see that again. I haven't seen it in like, I don't think I remember seeing it ever, but I wouldn't mind seeing it again.
Yeah.
So.
And there's a sequel that came out last year, which I'm going to be seeing that tomorrow too. And also the Five Nights at Freddy's movie that just came out yesterday. It's in theaters and also on Peacock simultaneously. So I know nothing about Five Nights at Freddy's, but we'll see how I feel about it. And I have not what I'm gonna be very real. Horror, I'm getting into it now, but I growing up I was never really that big on horror. In fact, my mom wanted me to stay away from horror for a while because my dad decided that he thought it was funny for to make a joke when I was like 4 or 5 years old that Freddy Krueger was upstairs on the roof, and whenever like any Freddy Krueger movie would happen to pop up or a commercial to any of the movies, I used to be scared to death, and my mom used to get really angry at my dad for that. My dad just thought he was funny doing that, so I was scared of Freddy Krueger for so many years. Not so much of Jason Voorhees, but definitely for Freddy Krueger. I'm not scared of him now, by the way, but when I was a little kid, my dad just happened to think he was funny with that.
But from a logical standpoint, I could also see why you would want to be more scared of Freddy than you would be of Jason. Jason's a supernatural being, but at least he can't get you through your dreams.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely do not want Freddy in your dreams. You don't.
No.
Although I think there was a movie where he actually had the fucking power glove. I forgot which one it was. It might have been the one where he was supposed to be dead, but yeah. Yeah, like I did watch a few horror movies here and there, but in passing, not a whole lot, but I've seen some of them. And the ones that I did see were actually pretty interesting. So yeah. There's that. So yeah. Those are some of the Halloween movies and specials I've seen. But one other one I want to mention, there's one more I want to bring up. And the last one I want to bring up before we move on to the next topic is that I absolutely love watching The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror episodes.
Those are good.
They've been doing them every year since the second season. And every year they do something different. Like at first it was just basically actual episodes where they actually tell the stories. But then starting from season 5, it just became just a random anthology where it wasn't tied to the actual show. They were just self-contained different stories where The Simpsons would normally have a rule where like you can't have characters actually feeling like cartoons. They actually supposed to feel like if they were like real life, despite the fact it was animated. But when Treehouse of Horror comes up, all those rules are broken. They could just do whatever they want. You want to see blood? You want to see like characters turning into something weird, something strange? You want to see them do things that The Simpsons wouldn't normally do on a regular episode? That's where you see it. Once a year, every year, they would do it. And there's been a running theme where because of the Major League Baseball playoffs, preempting like episodes of The Simpsons, they would sometimes air the Treehouse of Horror episode, a new one, in the first week of November, to the point where they would do it every year in November, where they even joked about it. And ironically enough, this year they're doing it in November again. I'm like, yeah, why? Like, baseball? I guess so. But they used to be really good. It got to the point where it kind of got stale because the longer The Simpsons was lasting, they either start running out of ideas or they try to bring back some ideas they've already done. But that's just it.
Hold on, I'm going to stop you right there. The recent Treehouse of Horror that came out last year definitely outdid itself with the animation because it was a parody of Death Note.
Oh yeah!
Oh yeah!
So, little tidbit on this that you must know. They actually got one of the animators who helped out with Death Note to do the art style for that specific episode. It was fantastic. It was great. I cannot begin to tell you how far they went with it. I'm like, yes, please. We had the stereotypical scene of Light writing in the book, going crazy. We even had the one potato chip joke. Like, I'm gonna take a potato chip and eat it. Yes, we had that at one point. I'm just like, please, please. This is really the animation was different too. Like Lisa Simpson looked like an actual freaking anime character. I'm like, oh, this looks fantastic. Hell yeah! I want my Simpsons to look like this now. Give me this.
Yeah, like. And I did watch that, and I will admit, that one was actually good. The only criticism I have is the fact that the voice actress for Marge Simpson, she can't do the voice anymore because obviously the longer, like, with the concept of time, they're getting old. And she's actually the oldest out of the main voice actors for the Simpsons family. But despite that, I thought it was good. I'm like, okay, so this is one of the first good ones in a while. And yeah, it's like sometimes like they bring out a good one like in the modern Simpsons, but other times I'm like not really impressed, but at least like they're still doing it because it's a tradition that they've been doing since the second season, and it would be so weird if they stopped. Although they did, however, one year, I don't remember the season, but I remember in addition to having the typical Treehouse of Horror, they also had like an actual like Halloween episode that wasn't like Treehouse of Horror in the same season. And I'm like, oh wow, they finally decided to do one of these after so many years of just doing all the Treehouse of Horror episodes. But yeah, it's like I cannot mention anything about like movies or TV specials without talking about Treehouse of Horror, because to me that's one of the more important ones for me. So yeah. Now here's something that I want to ask the both of you. Do you have any good like Halloween stories that's happened to you at any point? And if so, were there any crazy Halloween moments that you would like to share? Because I have one, but I want to hear from you guys first. Ben.
No, I really honestly can't say that I had anything specifically crazy happen to me. The only thing I remember off the top of my head that almost could have happened was I was going trick-or-treating once by myself, and when I went to go knock on this door, this one building, I did the whole trick or treat, and this one's like, "I'll take the treat," and he's like over my bag and almost tried to steal it from me. But he was just basically kidding. He's like, "Hey, don't worry, kid. I ain't, I'm just fucking with you."
Yep.
Hey, here you go. Have some. That's like the craziest thing that happened to me, basically.
Yeah. All right, that's fair. But any other like regular moments that happen, or just?
Actually, we did have some situations where we had. The last time I went trick or treating, it got like really cold. It was like we were like unseasonably cold. We were like, why is this so freaking frigid? And it was like the very next year we had like a snowstorm like blow through, and
Ooh.
It was trick or treating got canceled because there was like a foot of snow on the ground. No one wanted to go out and do anything.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Wow. Like a snowstorm during Halloween. I've actually never. What are the odds of that? Seriously. Yeah. Like so. Hito, what about you?
I got stories. I got a shit ton of stories for you.
Go ahead.
All right, so let's start off with Wendy's Gate. You're probably wondering what the hell Wendy's Gate is. I'm going to tell you what Wendy's Gate is.
Okay, go ahead.
Wendy's Gate. When Wendy's would give out the free Frosties every single year.
Yeah.
So me and my friends decided to do something very smart. We bought a coupon book specifically for a free Frosty. We bought basically 20 of these books. 20. And each one contained 10 coupons to get a free Frosty for no reason. We had ice cream for, I would like to say, about 3 times a day.
Yeah.
Over and over again, chocolate Frosties. We just took them. We didn't give them out to anybody. No. These were for us. We were moving the whole lap of luxury with basically getting all of these things that we wanted. We basically were just like, hey, we're going to have a whole bunch of chocolate Frosties, and no one's going to stop us. So it became a constant thing where every year came out, like, excuse me, can I buy like 3 or 4, maybe 6 of those Frosty pads, please? And then we'll get like 60 Frosties throughout the rest of the month because they expired in January. So January, you're not allowed to you're not allowed to basically use them anymore. But that means we had lots of fun. We basically had we had lots of fun. Like we had ice cream from all the way from October all the way to January. And the funny trick about Wendy's is like, oh, we're going to give these out at the end of the year because nobody's going to want to redeem these during December. And that is where Wendy's was wrong. So Wendy's Gate happened for 3 years. Then we had the basement story. So in my building, we have a basement. We have like a literal basement. It gets dark every now and then, but it's really well lit throughout most of the time. And what happened was somebody didn't realize that there was actually a fight going on in the stairs. So we heard a whole bunch of banging and breaking and stuff. And I was by myself this time around, because mind you, it got to the point where I was tired of like mom completely like following me places. And next thing I know, all I hear is a thud behind the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
And I look in the door, and all I notice is a red splatter. And I'm like, I freaked the fuck out when I saw that. All I saw was a red splatter in the freaking stairs, like somebody bashed their head into the damn freaking... You know, it was horrible. Mm-hmm. So, all I know is that I freaked out. I think this was the year that I went as a vampire.
Yeah.
And what didn't help was the fact that I freaked out, and all I hear down the hallway is laughter. And I'm like, wait a minute. All I see is like a balloon covered in like red stuff. It's cornstarch and vinegar, and legitimately the thud was just literally like a fake body, like stuffed in a suit and everything, and thrown down. So I'm just like, y'all are some ass. Like, they waited for somebody to come to the basement to scare the crap out of somebody. So I was just like, y'all are fucked up.
Wow.
Who does that? Who does that? Oh man, I was quietly freaking out. They're like, we thought you would scream or something. I'm like, oh no, trust me, you don't want me to scream. Screaming is normal. This here is petrified right now. Okay, like in my head, I thought somebody actually like fell down the stairs and splat their brains all over the place.
Wow.
Like, legit, it was bad. Because the thing is, like, I never went outside of my building to do trick-or-treating. I usually stood inside, since we have multiple apartments, and not to mention that my building itself has 2 buildings connected by a courtyard. So we get to trick-or-treat between 2 apartments. So we basically go from 1 through 6 on all of our apartments. Mm-hmm. And so, mind you, that's 12 floors of apartments. It's great. It's fantastic. You just go through, you get a costume on, and and the best part of it is, I do not have to worry about much. I don't have to worry about going out into my area, because I'm going to tell you this now, trick-or-treating in Harlem, not a fun idea.
I can believe that.
And
yeah.
So here's the issue, and this is a big one that happens in our area. So in New York City, specifically the Harlem and Bronx area, there's always like some sort of war between 2 gangs that happen on Halloween. And the told story about this is during initiation, either it's the boys or girls for it that year, they try to basically slash somebody to get into said gang during Halloween. This is a tale as old as time in both Harlem and Bronx. So my mother thought it was not. So basically, my mother thought it was like a lot more smarter to make sure that I don't go out into those areas.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to be a part of that, nor does anyone want to be a statistic.
Yeah.
Then there was the courtyard incident. I hate my friends for this one at that time. But the courtyard incident detailed of toilet paper and mud. They literally were like, hey, we got this prank toilet paper. If you hold on to it, It doesn't break. You can actually swing around with it too. I was a stupid kid. I was a stupid kid at the age of 7. This is when I thought, oh, ghosts are fine, cool. And if I swing on this, I will actually look scary. This will be great. Nope. I swing, I attempted to swing on toilet paper. I basically landed my ass in the mud, and I looked like a fucking deader spirit than before. And what didn't make it better was the fact that literally an adult kid was like, are you the one throwing toilet paper? And I just booked it.
Wow.
And then my final year of trick-or-treating, which this is going to sound a little shit, I don't know if most people will be like, but you're in high school, why are you trick-or-treating? Because I wanted the free candy, okay? I wanted free shit. But my last year of trick-or-treating was freshman of high school year, because I was like, let me enjoy this. Let me enjoy this for one last time, because I went all out in my costume. This is when Naruto first came out as an anime. At least in English, at least in the English dub, it first came out as an anime.
Yeah.
I've been reading Naruto since middle school when it first came out. But I dressed up as Zabuza. I had the little face wrappings. I had the guillotine sword. I had the black jumpsuit. I had everything. Even my hair actually matched Zabuza's, which was great. I even made myself look a little bit gray because Zabuza looks grayish when you see the whole thing. And I went in looking crazy. A few people actually got terrified about my look, and they were like, that's a huge sword. Are you gonna, like... And mind you, the sword was real. It was a huge... I was literally holding a giant guillotine blade at 9th grade. It was huge.
Wow.
The shit was real. It was big as hell, and literally, the guys are like, wait, that thing is reflecting my face. Is that real? I'm like, yeah. Isn't it heavy? I'm like, I mean, it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be used to behead someone, so, like, it has to be heavy. And then it got to the point where it was just crazy. But mind you, again, this is within the building. I'm safe. I don't have to go out, which is great.
Yeah.
So, they knew that I wasn't going to go swinging around a giant guillotine sword all over the place. But this was in our building, which was fine. And then Dracon actually just predicted what happened. We had a new person that moved into the neighborhood and basically pulled a carrot and didn't know that I actually collected a whole bunch of, like... Because back then I collected a whole bunch of martial arts weapons because I was a martial arts student.
Yeah.
And so... They were like, oh no, he has a giant sword. Save the children. He might kill them. And I'm just like, ma'am, this is a little too much. And then, so the officers had to come in, look at my stuff, and go, oh shit, he actually does collect this stuff. That's not safe, kid. This is kind of like psychopathic a little bit. I'm like, I'm a martial arts student. And I practice Tonfa's nunchucks and bow stabs. And then we have kendo practice too, so what do you want me to do? You want me to not have the items that I need to practice? He's like, we're gonna have to confirm. You don't have to. I have my name on this form right here. You could just leave me alone, please. It's like, okay, but what about that giant sword? It's a prop. It's reflective, yes, but it wasn't a real sword, obviously, because I couldn't carry something that huge even in 9th grade. And they were like, yeah, but it looks sharp. I'm like, it's reflective metal, look. And it's not even sharp, and it's blunt.
Yeah.
Oh, I would have thought this thing was heavier. This was me trying to over-exaggerate my costume and basically, you know, puffing it out. And one of the Karinas over here was just like, he has a real sword. He's gonna kill someone. Oh my god.
Wow.
And I'm just like, ma'am, you don't know me. Oh man, it was great. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
So those are a few, but yeah.
Yeah, that's actually interesting, like how that actually played out. Like the fact that even happened in the first place, plus like the whole Frosty Gate, like I can't believe that was even a thing.
Frosty Gate. I still do it every now and then. I still get like at least just one of the little pads with Frosties. You can get them literally right before Halloween starts, and then you can at least have 10 free Frosties. It's worth it, honestly. It's good. Just get one pad. It's like what, $5 for 10 free Frosties?
Yeah,
it's a steal.
It's a steal. I'll definitely have to look into that.
I'll have to look in on that too. I don't think they offer that for this local area, but then again, I don't know. It could be a nationwide thing.
I'll have to check it out. So I have a couple of stories, but so in terms of stories in general, one of the stories that I want to bring up was I remember like just going like, okay. All right, so I already talked about the whole scare fair thing from when I used to be a part of that back in high school, how to help out. But what I remember as well was there was one year, like, because I'm going to tell you right now, I actually stopped trick-or-treat. Like, the year 2000 was the last year I've actually trick-or-treated. I actually did intend on trick-or-treating the next year, but because of world events that happened that year, that didn't happen. And then afterwards, I was like, you know what? I don't think I'm going to be doing trick-or-treating anymore. Like, I feel like I'm already past that point. So, like, in 2002 was when I realized, I'm like, yeah, I passed that point. So, yeah.
And 2002 or 2003, I think, was the year that I was the last. And like I said, it was more. I mentioned this in the chat, but like 2002, 2003 was like the last year I went trick-or-treating. And it wasn't so much I was getting. I mean, part of the reason I was getting too old for it, but at the same time, my cousins they had some like really young kids, and they was like, you know what, hey, we need some older kids to help, accompany the little ones. So I figured, okay, fuck it, I'll help chaperone.
Yeah. So, like I would have chaperoned my younger brother, but he fell out of it too. So we both just stopped trick or treating around like 2002. But what I do remember was like just aside from scare fair, just usual like Halloween events that would happen later down the road that I would attend. I remember back in 2011, back when the group that I'm a part of now, Switch and Play NYC, used to be known as Street Pass NYC. Within our first year, like we went to the Halloween parade at downtown in Manhattan, and I forgot what radio station it was. I think like for the local radio station for me, it was Z100 doing this. So I went, and what I remember doing was like, because we were cosplaying, like the original founder of Street Pass NYC, Jordan White, he cosplayed as Tanuki Mario because it was in anticipation for Super Mario 3D Land at the time, because that was coming out. And he cosplayed as Tanuki Mario, while all I had was a Sonic hat. I did not actually start cosplaying yet. I started cosplaying later on, but I had a Sonic hat that I got for pre-ordering Sonic Colors at GameStop. So I had that. People were dressed up as different characters. We had like Mario, we had Luigi, Shy Guy, and some other stuff. And there was this one guy I know, like my buddy Sean, who used to work for Nintendo New York back when it was Nintendo World. He does a lot of different Mario cosplays, but that year he was Hammer Brothers Mario. He was Hammer Mario, and people absolutely loved the costumes that we had. We had a great time. Like we were just walking in the parade, and we managed to just have a good time. Like everybody loved what we had. And what was funny was that, like, the whole Tanuki Mario costume, nobody pretty much knew who recognized. No one really recognized it unless, like, you had to tell them who you were. And yet, for whatever reason, I was just wearing the Sonic hat. Everyone was like, oh, look, it's Sonic! Everyone was like that. But it was a great time. And after that, there was, like, a local pizza place we went to afterwards, just chill, which that pizza place has been closed down out. honestly, in Union Square. But there were a lot of people like in Union Square in costume that year. Like I remember just going home, and 90% of the people on the train on my way home were in costume. But there's one like we didn't do anything Halloween in 2012 because of Hurricane Sandy, so that got canceled. But in 2013, I remember there was a Kickstarter to get the Halloween parade back because they didn't have the funds, so they needed to. They did a Kickstarter, and then I did donate some money to it. And then I went to the parade. We went, and we had a great time. I was cosplaying as Mario. I had like but I didn't have like the actual real overalls. It was one of those like store-bought costumes that you would normally see at any of the stores. I did that at the time, and after the parade ended, we wanted to go get something to eat. The problem was most of the places that we wanted to go to were full. Like there were a lot of people in there because it's Halloween. So the one that was open was. So we were in Union Square. There was a Taco Bell / Pizza Hut Express. We went there, and we decided to just eat. And we all did. Everything was normal. We were actually starting to get ready to wrap up, because we were there for like at least an hour. And as soon as like two of our friends left, not long afterwards, a fight broke out. There was a fight that was. And at first, I thought it was just two random people who were gonna fight, and then it was gonna stop. It didn't stop. It just kept going. More people started fighting, and then the moment that I saw someone throw a chair, I just instantly just grabbed all my stuff quickly, and my friends were all doing the same thing. We all got the fuck out of there. And then the moment that I passed through the doors, I heard someone threw glass, and. You wonder what's the funniest part about this? I look back at this and laugh because guess what? This year marks 10 years since that happened. And there was a video for it, and guess what? It's still up on YouTube. And that was absolutely insane. Like a fight at Taco Bell in 2013 on Halloween. And I think it supposedly started because of, I think it was a fight over a girl. I don't remember if that was the reason, but I just remember that there was just two guys fighting, and it just got worse and worse, and a lot of people just getting into the brawl. But in the video,
correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe they call that a riot.
Not exactly in this case. Not exactly. But you wonder what it was? It was definitely a brawl, but you could see me in the video leaving the place. I was just getting out, but it was only for like a few seconds. I have the link on YouTube. I'll just share it with you guys so you guys can watch it whenever. Here it is. But yeah, this was 10 years ago. It was 10 years ago. Yeah. And yes, yes, exactly, Ben. Fuck this shit, I'm out. That's pretty much what I was. And instead of just getting mad or getting scared, like my friends and I, all we just did was laugh because it was stupid. It was absolutely stupid. But honestly, it's a Halloween night for me to remember for pretty much the rest of my life. But I do have one more thing I wanted to share. I went to the parade one more time back in 2016. And it was a good time, but you know what's the problem? My feet were fucking killing me walking all that time, but that's not the issue. That's not the issue. The issue was the fact that for whatever reason, it just felt so, like, even though I had fun, it just felt so, like, I don't know, just something was off. I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I want to do this again. Just, it's one of those moments, one of those feelings where you just couldn't, like, put two and two together of why it just felt so off. Apparently, they still do the parade, but I don't really have a desire to go back. I mainly want big. Go ahead.
It's like that spark was just no longer there, you know?
Probably because my girlfriend at the time, I took her there because she never did it before, but was one of those things where like, oh, she had her fill too, and that was it for both of us. So that was the reason why we went, but it was a good time otherwise. So there was that. But not for me. Nothing's going to, and from my personal experience, nothing is going to top the whole like Taco Bell fight. Although from the stuff that Hito talked about, I think he pretty much has me beat with some of the stories that he talked about. That like you already had me beat the moment that you talked about the Frosty Gate. Nothing like I've never heard of Frosty Gate, and now I'm not curious about it.
Frosty Gate, do it more.
And then there's also, and let's see. So we'll do one more topic before we do the community questions. So the last topic is, how much does Halloween mean to you? So, Hito, how much does Halloween mean to you?
So, when I was a kid, it meant a lot. It meant a lot to me, and then it meant even more now. So for those of you who don't know, Hito is full pagan. So when it came down to it, I celebrate not Halloween but Samhain. Samhain is a basically Day of the Dead or Dia de los Muertos that most people do in the Spanish tradition. That's where originally what it's for, but Samhain is the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like it's kind of a holiday before Halloween was existent, because Halloween was kind of like a bastardized holiday that mostly was traditionalized as, oh, this is a satanic holiday, don't celebrate it, it's terrible. You're getting free candy and you get to dress up in whatever you want. It's a terrible holiday, don't do it, guys. But I'm pagan, so I do celebrate Samhain, which is basically pagan's New Year for us. It's like a New Year for us. We're remembering the dead, we are honoring them all in all together, and then that's our New Year, and then we just do the eight holidays all over again. And mind you, this was when I first switched into that whole religious situation, when I switched into that new religion of being pagan.
No.
Even more so on that, so now it has a special connection with me. I still remember my first Samhain. Instead of doing Halloween, I did Samhain. My first one ever, and it was with my teacher and a few of our other friends together who also was practicing as well. It was a lot of fun for me. It was fun. I felt more spiritual in a sense. It felt like really much like I felt more at peace or calmer during that time. I loved getting candy. I love the excitement and craziness that I did, but also Halloween kept me calm. Now, like during the years after that, finally celebrating it as Samhain. So it has a very spiritual meaning to me, and hell, I'm taking the day off of work for it because I technically can, because it's a religious holiday to me, and I don't care whatever my boss will say. It's like, oh, it's not a religious holiday. No, it's a religious holiday.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not going out to dress up or have candy, although dressing up will be nice, and I also get to do some sort of thing. I also do a ritual every Samhain for me. I always do one of my rituals for Samhain. A lot of people are like, oh my god, this guy's insane. Like, no, this is a religious practice. You can chill out and relax. I'm not here to kill a goat and, sacrifice a chicken. That's very much not what we're doing here. It's all good. We're fine.
Yeah.
Someone actually said, like, did you bring the dead chicken? I'm like, no. That's not a thing that we do. But I keep telling people right off the bat, like, Halloween, the name Halloween for things is a bastardized version of what it really was and what it really represented by religious corporations. I still don't hate, mind you though, I will never get mad at somebody for using the term Halloween, because it's a term now. It's the term, it's the holiday, and it's still something I respect to this day. I will always still treasure it as what it was. Because, Kid Hito's there is like, yeah, candy, costumes, supposedly getting the cops called on me, Frosty Gate, and giant bodies falling off the stairs and scaring the crap out of me. Amazing. That's what this represents. And now I have something that is a lot deeper when it comes to that connection. So I get to celebrate that myself and have a good time. Also, war crimes. Lots and lots of war crimes. Commit them at every given moment. Okay.
Anyway, Yeah. Anyway, what about you, Ben?
So funny enough, when I just remembered an old acquaintance that I had that I only knew for a short while, but they weren't. I wouldn't really call them pagan, but they were very insistent on referring to Halloween as not Halloween, but All Hallows Eve.
Yep.
They were like stupid anal about that. If anyone tried to say Halloween, she would be like, it's not Halloween, it's not Halloween. I don't know why she had a huge stick up her ass about that, but
because of the history behind it. It's essentially they killed a lot of people who had pagan blood or were pagan religious, and they did that to basically make an example out of what Halloween was about. So that's kind of
I can believe
it's kind of the same thing. It's kind of the same thing what they did with Yule as well. There's a lot of dark history for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as Halloween, how it goes to me, I honestly never really thought of Halloween all that much until I really started learning a little bit more about not just so much the history behind it, but also how it connected in with the Spanish version of the holiday, the Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead.
You got it.
And honestly, looking forward to that I actually seem to really. I'm not Hispanic by any means of the imagination. I have no Hispanic blood in me or anything of that nature. But if I were to prefer Halloween or Dia de los Muertos, I would have to say I kind of look forward to Day of the Dead more.
Yeah. Good stuff.
And Samhain is a thing for that. That's where it comes from.
Yep.
But yeah, Halloween is, to me, just something kind of like you celebrate time with friends, time with family. You know, you're just kind of celebrating just general. I wouldn't really say spookiness. I guess the mysticism behind it. You know, the imagination behind it, because it's more than just dressing up. It's more about expressing yourself. It's more about just enjoying the night. Also, candy doesn't hurt.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I agree, because the thing is that I feel that one point that a lot of people seem to miss in regards to Halloween, aside from, like, I know obviously we got the commercialism, but for me, I guess I could segue this into going into, like, what it means for me. Halloween is not just about candy, even though candy's fine, but it's not about candy for me. It's not about watching movies or TV specials. Cool, I love doing that, don't get me wrong, but that's not about that for me. It's the culture. The culture of Halloween is what matters the most to me.
That's exactly what I was trying to go for. I just couldn't think of the name for it.
Yeah, because you have, like, just the theming, like, you just hit like to the point where it's autumn season. You notice that the pumpkins are out. You notice that, like, instead of the green, you start seeing, like, orange, brown colored leaves. You would just go around, like, just the general vibe. It's not really hot. Although, for me, today, like, was an anomaly. Like, today was actually 80 degrees here in New York City. But that's more of, like, but that's the exception and not the rule. But I will say, for Halloween, what it means to me is just going around and seeing more people more embrace certain themes, like more gothic themes, or whatever people do want to dress up, not just for the costume, but to embrace what they love, share the passions that they actually love, and to express themselves in many ways that people feel like they don't really have the courage to do on their own, so they find some way to do it, and they feel like this is their way of doing it. Everybody has their way to express themselves, and if Halloween is the way to do it for you, then that's absolutely amazing. And for me, that's how I would do it too. Like, it's just not the only way for me, it's one of the ways. But I love Halloween. It's actually, out of all the holidays of the year, it's my personal favorite, even more so than like any other holiday. But I love it because just a general vibe of the culture every year. I also respect Dia de los Muertos. I remember my mom would talk to me about that too, because since obviously I'm Hispanic. But I've learned a lot from it. I haven't seen Coco. I've heard it's great, but there is a movie I did see that had the Day of the Dead theme. The Book of Life. The Book of Life was a really good movie. I don't know if the person that made it was the creator of El Tigre. I think it might have been, and I think it was. I think Guillermo del Toro also worked on it. I'm not sure if he did. He might have, but I did see that movie. I remember watching it in theaters 9 years ago when it first came out, and it was really good. But I've also
this is 2014. You said
2014. Yes.
2014. I can look this up here real fast. Directed by George R. Gutierrez.
Yep.
Produced by Guillermo del Toro. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. George R. Gutierrez. Yeah. Guess what? He is the guy that made El Tigre from Nickelodeon.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Good movie.
Yeah, I need to catch that. I've never seen that. So.
Yeah. Good movie.
Put that on my to-do list.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. So yeah, but just the culture itself is probably the main thing that means to me. That means more to me than like the commercialism of Halloween. Like the commercialism is just like it's just there. Like for me, it's not something that I don't really praise commercialism. I just praise the actual aspects of the holiday. But yeah. That's pretty much it. Now we go on to the community questions. So
I will say this one before we move on to this.
Okay.
One of the things that I love about Halloween is that it is one of the few holidays that, aside from Christmas, is celebrated pretty much universally around the world.
Yep, that is true.
Like you said, how about culture? That is one of the things that I love about it. Is just that is one of the few things where, hey, we can unite as a people, no matter where you are.
Yeah.
Everyone has, even if it's not specifically whether it be Halloween or Dia de los Muertos, every country has something to honor those that have gone on before them.
Yeah.
And that's something I think is kind of beautiful, even in the morbid sense. It is kind of something I think is pretty cool.
Yep. All right. So now for the community questions. All right. So. The first question is from D-Dog. She asks, what is your favorite costume that you've done? What do you guys, what about, because I got to think about mine, because I think it might just be Mario for me, because I guess that's the most effort. I haven't actually made like an actual costume on my own. It's just put stuff together, so can't really say too much on that.
Honestly, we go back to the one that I mentioned earlier, the Zabuza cosplay. That costume was great for the Halloween because, mind you, I was running on last-minute ditch effort things, and we took advantage of bandages that my mom would kind of smuggle from her old job because she used to work in a hospital.
Yeah.
She would get like certain things to take care of us a little bit. It helped out a lot when it came to just grabbing the bandages, so I was able to do like the face wrap, the sword. I actually cut the sleeves off of my thing. I sewed the pants and the shirt together, and I made a slit in the back so I could just kind of like zip it up. It was great. And then making the sandal shoes, because the Naruto shoes were kind of like a little bit like a different type of style. So what I would do was I would take a pair of flip-flops and socks, like very stretchy socks, and then what I did was I lined it up with the bottom of the sandals. That way it looked like a shoe, but I was able to still walk in it with no problem without like tripping or falling.
Yeah.
So it was a fun time. The gray paint was great, and then I already had the sword. It was basically because I had the sword, I wanted to make the costume. And
Yeah.
then we got the costume.
Yep. All right.
I also did Inuyasha the next year.
Sounds good. What about you, Ben?
What was the question again?
Oh, so the question was, what is your favorite costume that you've done? Like, have you ever made your own costume before?
So I've never made any homemade costumes, personally. I have wanted to go as a Jedi Knight or Jedi Master. I've always wanted to construct my own homemade lightsaber. I've never done that before, but I still intend to do that at some point. At some point before I die.
Yeah.
But no, the best costume I've done that I think that I personally was most proud of was either going as Luigi, because at the time, this was like back when like video games were still relatively new. Back when like the early '90s, we didn't have costumes for like video game characters, so you couldn't go to like say like a Walmart or a Kmart or any sort of department store and expect to see like a child's costume that had a video game character. So we decided, you know what, hey, if we're gonna go with like Mario Brothers, I wanted to go as Mario.
Yeah.
But the thing was is that we couldn't find a cap that was in red. So, but we did find a bunch that were in green. So we figured, okay, screw it, we'll just, change of plans, we'll go as Luigi instead. So,
all right.
Instead of having a red shirt, I just went with a green shirt, went with the standard pair of overalls, white gloves, the red, brown shoes, a little bit of makeup to kind of give you the fake stash, and call it done. So,
all right.
It was, Luigi was probably the one character I dressed up the most as over the years. The other one that I had was I had a standard Grim Reaper costume. I've had that one's seen use more often than not, and it was just a standard, just black cloak, that Darth Maul mask. So, my favorite one was I still had the Darth Maul mask, and this wasn't like a thing with like a string or anything on it. This was like a full-on latex thing that goes on over the head. My favorite one was using the Darth Maul mask and then dressing up in an actual like 3-piece business suit and going as the evil lawyer.
Oh wow.
That one was funny. I liked that one.
Yeah.
But no, Luigi was probably my favorite out of everything I've ever done.
Okay. Yeah. So again, Mario for me. I just put it together, and that's really it. Next one is from Aurora Deity. What's your top 3 candies you've ever gotten that's not the norm? So nothing like, for example, no Skittles, no Twix, no Reese's, no Kit Kats, no Snickers or anything like that. Something that is out of the ordinary. You guys can think of at least 3 candies?
I got you.
What you got?
Dollar bills, the strawberry hard candies, and lifesavers.
All right. Ben?
Pretty much most of the same thing. I've never gotten any dollar bills, but I have gotten change before, like just quarters and stuff. Lifesavers are pretty good. The weirdest one that I've gotten was I never got like actual candied apples, but there was this homemade one where they kind of took like some. It was kind of like some. Well, how can I explain this? It was kind of like a pastry once.
Yeah.
Where they kind of did like a sort of a Danish thing, and they kind of wrapped it up in like some like Saran wrap. And
Yep.
that was pretty good.
Okay.
So, but it was homemade. Definitely not something you'd see in a store. I'll tell you that much.
Okay. Let's see. For me, if I had to pick 3, so there were some random like Asian candies that I've had. Don't really recall what they were, but they were just interesting. Aside from that, I would probably say like those. I would probably say Sweethearts or something I love. Like those Sweethearts candies, like those small ones that come in like those little wrappings with different colors. I've also enjoyed let's see, what was another one? I also enjoy like different variants of like the typical candies, but like ones you normally never see. Like I know Lifesavers was mentioned, but like there was like these gummy versions of Lifesavers, like the big ring gummy Lifesavers candies. Those are pretty good. And I would also probably have to go with some of those Hershey candies that people don't really talk about. Like we always talk about like Hershey's cookies and cream, regular Hershey's, or like Reese's and all that stuff. But what about like some of the ones that they have, like Mr. Goodbar, which is basically Hershey's with peanuts, or Crackle, which is basically Hershey's attempt of ripping off Nestle's Crunch, or maybe it came before, but it's basically their take on Nestle's Crunch. But I personally like it better than Nestle's Crunch, if you ask me.
I love Crackle. Crackle's like the only time I ever had. The only time I ever heard Crackle was during Halloween. I never was able to find it anywhere else.
Yeah, so. Like you always see them in like those fun size like combination bags that have like different candies. That's where I would normally see it. Whenever I go to gatherings and someone brings in like either the ones from the Hershey company or like mainly or like the ones from like Mars Wrigley that has like Skittles and M&Ms and all that stuff. But yeah. So next one comes from Dragon. Ever carved a pumpkin? And if so, your favorite jack-o'-lantern design you've done? I've never actually done any like unique designs. I just only ever carved like typical, like the traditional jack-o'-lanterns. Never really anything that was like of a unique design. I would like to someday. Like I have some ideas. I just never really put the effort to doing that. But that's just me. What about you guys?
Yeah, the same thing here. I apologize. Yeah, the same thing here is I've only done like the standard like spooky, scary face kind of carving, but I've never done anything like specifically unique. I have planned on doing something like that, but I have never done anything of the sort. Last time I did a freaking jack-o'-lantern was back when Mom and Dad were still alive. So.
Yep. Yeah. Hito?
Barrel answered. That's it.
Alright. Okay, so let me go and take a look at the next question. This one comes from so we got two questions from Dari. The first one is your favorite candy to get on Halloween and your least favorite to get on Halloween. I'll think about mine, but you guys go ahead.
Hershey bars were my favorite. My least favorite were Milky Ways or Snickers.
Alright.
My personal favorites was either Twix or Reese's, with Crunch being a close second. Least favorite were those Originals. I hated getting those.
I don't mind those, but I'll tell you what my favorites are. Like Reese's are always my favorites, and also like for fruit favorite candies, I would probably say Skittles or like Starburst. Least favorites, it's not candy corn, and it's not black licorice. You want to know what my least favorites are? You know those circus peanuts? Those circus peanut candies where it's like they look like peanuts but they're actually candies? They taste so fucking nasty. I don't like those. I never liked those. I get those a lot.
So I used to egg houses that would give those out, by the way.
I never liked those candies. I never liked them. Like, people talk about how candy corn is not good. No, I'd rather have candy corn. You don't want candy corn? I'll take the candy corn. Give me that. But those peanut shells, those circus peanuts, I don't like those.
They deserve to be egged. They deserve to be egged for serving you.
Like,
how dare you?
It's like if
That's
you,
not candy.
if it's like I did its candy tier list and that went to fucking F. Like that's like instant F right there. Holy shit! Like I'd rather fucking eat like I don't even like Almond Joy, but I'd rather eat an Almond Joy or Mounds than to have like those circus peanuts. Yeah. So that's mine. And Dory also asks, what candy do you buy on sale after Halloween? Pretty much whatever, like the next day, discount candy, like November 1st is always discount candy day. So whatever I see that's available that is half price or so, or a big discount, I go for that. That's basically it. It's pretty much like whatever I see.
Same thing, if there's any Twix or Reese's that's on sale, Sweet Tarts.
Sweet Tarts, Reese's, Jolly Ranchers. Jolly Ranchers.
Jolly Ranchers aren't bad. I don't mind those.
I'll take Jolly Ranchers too. Yeah. So
Pixie Sticks. Pixie Sticks. Oh
I
God.
can't do Pixie Sticks anymore.
Pixie Sticks are my fucking cocaine.
Oh, okay.
I used to snort those.
But okay. Before we go to the next community question, I just want to point out Pixie Sticks. So I did a tier list on Monday for candy and it's in honor of Halloween. I put Pixie Sticks on F because don't get me wrong, while they're good, the problem is you're gonna get the most amount of sugar rush that you could possibly get with those things. So forget cocaine. That's gonna get you on a huge sugar high. So for that reason, I put it on F just because of the fact that it also makes you not want to go to sleep either. So
also, they get fucking everywhere if you're not careful.
Yeah, like that's the other issue. So good candy.
This is how you get it.
Good candy, but it's ruined by pretty much everything else. Okay, so next up, we got 2 questions from Professor Icepick. Have you ever trick-or-treated in an apartment building? And so what's that like? All the time. And what it's like is basically just going door to door trick-or-treating, and I would get candy. That's it. The end for me.
I already answered this question. I live in an apartment building, so I had to. We basically did this. We did this all the time. Sometimes there were dead bodies in the stairs, but we don't question that at the time. Just saying.
Yep. Ben?
So, you guys. Funny thing, I was kind of wondering about if I was going to be the only one to do this. No, and it turns out we all grew up in apartment complexes. Aside from the 1 year, when I mentioned the same year that was the last one that I had, the one that was unseasonably cold, the one that I chaperoned, that was pretty much the only time that I ever went trick-or-treating on an actual door-to-door, house-to-house trick-or-treat.
Yeah.
Everything else prior to that was always in an apartment complex.
Yep.
When I was growing up, because I never moved into this house. The house that I'm living in right now, I only moved into this back in 2007. That was like 16 years ago.
Yeah.
I lived my entire life in apartment complexes up to that point. So.
Yep.
So how trick-or-treating in an apartment complex as opposed to door-to-door, I don't really have the practical experience to really answer that, but I can only tell you that it's really not that much different. The houses are smaller, they're a lot closer together. Technically, it's also a bit safer, too, because, if anyone tries to do something stupid, if you want to scream out, there's a lot more people around that you can help you and potentially hear you, and maybe call 911 on your behalf.
Yep.
So...
So the next one, Icepick has his second question. What's the best Halloween treat you remember getting while trick-or-treating? We pretty much answer that.
Yeah.
A $10 bill.
Yep, $10 bill. $10 bill. Although I will say although I will at least answer with something a little bit like out of the ordinary, like McDonald's will, like in addition to Wendy's, like McDonald's would also give me those coupons for the soft serve ice creams. It's like there are kids who would get like those Halloween pails from McDonald's, which they brought those back this year too. Like every year that they would have them and kids would grab them and use them. McDonald's would give out like a a coupon for a free ice cream that you could use anytime within a certain time period, but otherwise, that and that's really it.
So I mentioned this in the chat room.
Yeah.
But the same person who gave me that 1 year that the sort of fruit Danish thing, that was kind of like on a one-off. Almost every year that I went to that apartment complex, they would hand out like the homemade wrapped chocolate brownies that they made.
Yeah.
They were about this size in like how big they were in terms of like how much you would get. These were freaking huge brownies that they would hand out, and they were homemade. Those were always the best, in my opinion, was because they made the they had like it was I want to say it was like, I don't know what they had that like actually made from scratch, but I do know they had like chocolate chips baked in on them. It was so good.
Yep. Let's see. I never really had anything homemade given to me for trick-or-treating. So it's just either candy, coupons, or sometimes some money. But
yep, no, nothing special.
Yeah. Next one is from Epic Man. Do you prefer going out trick-or-treating or give out candy? I'm gonna be very real. I haven't actually given out candy to kids in a long time, mainly because of the fact that my mom does not care for Halloween. She does not like to celebrate it, so we don't really get trick-or-treaters here.
Yeah, same thing. I mentioned this also in the chat before. My family, the thing is that I always like to go out trick-or-treating, but in terms of staying home, I never really did that. Either one of my parents would, or both of my parents would, when I went out trick-or-treating by myself or with friends. But since we moved to the ever since we moved to upper Northern Virginia, ever since we moved to Northern Virginia back in when I was going into 7th grade.
Yeah.
7th grade, 8th grade, and I want to say maybe 9th grade was about the last time we got trick-or-treaters. Yeah, because then we moved out to here in 2003, and then from like 2003 onward, we barely got anybody. We only got a few for like 2003, 2004, and then like from 2005 onward, we just never got anybody. So. Yep.
What about you, Hito? Like, do you prefer trick or treating or giving candy to kids?
I'm always scared to give candy to kids because if you don't give them what they want, they do stupid things.
Yeah.
And I kind of just don't participate in that. I just take the free candy and I'm like, listen, as long as I'm not participating, I can't get in trouble for it. So yeah, there we go. We're all good.
Yeah. Now,
don't echo the door, please.
Like, or there could be this one guy's like, trick or treat, give me your candy. Now get out.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Trick or treat, I'll take the treat. No.
Yeah. Anyway, so we got one more question, and this one's from Zykrul. Did you do anything to snag some extra candy? My friends and I would change our costumes slightly to revisit houses that handed out the regular / large candy bars. Wondering if you did anything of the sort or other means. Well, the only thing that I could probably think of was that, like, I remember, like, just fuck. There was. I'm trying to remember it. You guys, if you guys have anything, go ahead. I'll try to remember it on my end.
No, never.
So this one was kind of fucked up, but I had big brain when I was a kid. I would say I'm also collecting for a friend who couldn't make it today because he was very sick and had the flu. So, do you mind if I get a little bit extra just to, like, do that? That's why I'm carrying 2 pails.
Yep.
And it worked.
Nice.
Oh, God, it worked. Oh, God.
So, honestly, I don't think I could actually remember anything like that. I'm trying to think of if I've ever did anything extra, and to be honest with you, no, I don't think I did. I thought I had something, but no, it wasn't what I was thinking of. So no.
I never did, and that's only because my mom raised me to be an honest man. She very much would have disapproved me of doing that. She'd be like, "No, that is dishonest, and I disapprove."
Yeah, because
my mom taught me how to hustle just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Unfortunately, I wasn't so lucky because I've actually have never trick or treated without my mom's supervising me. Like there were times when my dad used to supervise me as well, but when he left, like it was just my mom, and even then, like my mom also wanted me to be honest. So no, not really. I never really did anything extra. But I wouldn't mind doing a Halloween movie tier list in the future. Probably not going to be for this year. And even then, I haven't really seen enough Halloween movies. I need to watch more to actually do one. But yeah, so that's it. That's actually going to do it. That's going to be the episode. Before we wrap things up, Ben, where can we find you?
So you can find me at www.twitch.tv/MrBen. That is MISTH. I'm sorry, MISTAH Ben. And he's got the link in the chat room there. I generally almost always make an announcement on my Discord whenever I go live. I never use Twitter anymore. That was the only other place that I would have made an announcement, but yeah. For personal reasons, I'm not going to go into that.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, generally, I almost always go and make an announcement on my Discord. If you want to have an invite to my Discord channel, if I may go ahead and throw that in, that would...
Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
I will go ahead and copy that, and I'll toss that in the Twitch chat there. That is my Discord link. So if you want to join the Benjamin, then that is my Discord channel. Go right ahead. I almost always go live on Sundays, generally from 8 p.m. 8 p.m. Eastern to however long we run.
Okay.
That is usually my Sundays. Sometimes on rare occasions I will stream on Saturday. In fact, I am planning on going live after this.
Sounds good.
To do some more Splatoon.
All right. What team are you on? Skeleton?
I'm on Team Skeletor, baby.
Damn it! I'm on not me, because I'm on Team Ghost, because I'm going Ghost like Danny Phantom.
Yeah.
Now, Hito, where can we find you?
You can find me here on Twitch.tv under HitoRetroGaming. Hello, what's up? Enjoy the final days of my Halloween craziness. Along with that, you can also find me on YouTube, which a new video will be released before Halloween, saying 5 things that scared Kid Hito, young Hito, in video games that were not actually scary, but really did scare the pants off of him.
All right, sounds good.
Let's say I also have a YouTube channel as well, and in fact, speaking of Sundays, I am planning on going live tomorrow for... I don't generally do a lot of horror games, but I am doing a little bit something different for tomorrow. My buddies and I are going to be going live. I am going to be going back in the days of the OG survival horror. We are going way back in time to the 1992, investigating the lost histories and the lost histories and mysteries of an old manor as we find ourselves alone in the dark.
Oh wow, nice.
So yeah.
And for my Sunday, we don't usually stream on Sundays, but Sunday's a special occasion as we do our Animal Crossing story time. This is our 4th year doing this, so we usually just grab a whole bunch of friends. We have them go into our island that is specifically going to be designed for this, and we find/create scary stories for the night to appease the dark, evil Hito. Okay, I need stories of bloodlust, war crimes, and probably a little murder in the process so I can quell the thirst. It helps. So, we have that going on in there, and we also take participation for people to come in as well. So, you are welcome to join in on that craziness that we will have.
Yes.
Yeah. So, you'll see us on Sunday, and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because stuff is happening.
Yep. All right. Well, you can find me on any type of social media at ShellshockPrime. I'm pretty much just almost about everywhere that you could think of. Like, whether it's from like Discord, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, and all that stuff. Yeah, like I'm pretty much everywhere doing the same thing I do every day, Monday through Thursday, with the occasional Sunday streams. And usually Sundays are regulated to sharing with Shellshock, but today I decided to do a Saturday one because Sunday I'm going to be busy. However, the next session of Sharing with Shellshock will be back on a Sunday, November 5th. And that episode is going to be handheld gaming. And it's going to be a long one because we got Silverstone Condor, Zycrul, Michael McCaw, and Mr. Redbeard. We're all going to be talking about handheld games from past, future, and pretty much everything in between. From Game Boy, from the original Game Boy to the Nintendo Switch and Steam Deck, and so much more. That will be next week. We got more episodes coming up for the rest of the season. This is episode 28, and that's been Shellshock. Or rather, Sharing with Shellshock. Thanks to all for coming through. Ben, Hito, thank you again.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yep. And we'll catch you on the flip side, and have a happy Halloween.